Hey y'all, welcome back to Compass Out Reviews. What we're taking a look at is ArtStorm, their Ultimetal UM-02 Ultra Magnus. It comes with, of course, Magnus, as well as die-cast armor pieces for Magnus to make him look like a white prime that you see over there, as well as some additional plastic armor pieces to become Ultra Magnus. Now the stand and all of that stuff comes with a stand over here. It's got light gimmicks, as well as light up matrix, and he's got another matrix in here, and we'll go over all of that too. But basically what you see here, and the rest of the unboxing video is what you get. Well, let's take a look at the height. Alright, so I am measuring to the antenna just under 17 inches tall, so pretty big guy. Not quite as big as the MAAS, the Toy Alliance one. I believe it was MAS, but whatever it is, the Toy Alliance Optimus Prime, which was 18 inches tall. We're giving you a roundabout view here. And now this piece on the back comes off. That's where you can turn them off and on. We're going to go ahead and check out the electronic gimmicks and things like that in a bit, so we'll just keep that on for this review. But one thing I will advise, don't keep it on in general, because what it does is it turns the infrared signal on, so that it's always like open for the remote and stuff like that, and your batteries will run out very quickly, as well as corrode and things like that faster, and you don't want that. I don't know why I left this armor piece on the leg there, but we'll take it off for the time being, just so you guys can see. But there you go. Now I've already reviewed Ultimetal Optimus UM-01, so I'm not going to go over like full posability and stuff like that, but I will go over some of the cool aspects of this guy. So right there you see the ratchet, but it also has pistons here that work, that you can see in the top part of the waist. And the ratchets for the waist itself, very strong. And I would almost say they're like, that's the sternum area and stuff like that. So this piece does open here. To make room for the matrix. And using the remote here, you press one button to turn them on. He does have lights as well, so the matrix can light up. And taking it out here, sorry if my hand gets in the way, but I've got a stand for this review. It's so big that I can't just reach around the camera for this one. I don't exactly remember how this was supposed to come out or pry out, but it stays in there with friction. It seems pretty good. I haven't saw any clip points on it, but you can see it's just a plain light in there. Make sure that that's back in, secure. And now since we're looking at the lights, just so you can see how bright the eye lights are, not bad. We'll open up the doors for the matrix now that I'm thinking about it, so you can at least see how bright it is. Pretty cool stuff. This is a great white prime. I don't really... Whoa! I don't know if that was a timer that just made it turn off, but the remote was face down, so I'll take a look again and make sure that it's on and all that. So that just turned it off. Alright, let's see what else it can do in terms of sounds and things like that. I've noticed this one, it seems like the range is a lot more particular than Optimus, and I'm just going over different buttons here. And this isn't as cool as Optimus. That one's just a light, and then that one, the headlights and stuff like that. Now, on the flip side, here's Optimus, and let's get this guy turned on. He's already on, I believe, but let's see what we got. Okay. So, getting the right button to make him talk there, but I'm trying to...
I am Optimus Prime.
Sorry, it's been a while since I messed with this, but
I am Optimus Prime.
let's see what else.
Receiving a message from Autobot headquarters.
So we're not going to mess with him too much, but you can see, like, turn him off there. See, the electronics are a lot more extensive on Optimus. Back to Magnus. The head actually comes off of Magnus, and we'll look at that when we get him transformed into Ultra Magnus, I guess, or the head comes off on Magnus. You know what I mean. So, get him turned off. We're just taking a moment to look at some of the other pistons and things like that. See those there. And we'll also look at the double joints in the arms. Fingers fully articulated, separately articulated. I wish that the fingers on this guy would have been different lengths, but the ability to even spread and things like that. Zoom out a bit, focus. That's pretty cool. With the hips here, since these are big cast iron parts, they do lock into place, but you do have a pretty good range of motion. You actually have to press the hip in and out. Out locks it, pressing it in gives you that front back swing. I'm not going to do any kick poses on this. Don't want to biff anything on camera, but there is that. So for the knees, focus on that. See inside, they each have a button, and that was just the back panel. I actually popped that off with my finger so it didn't just fall off, but you can see it loosens once you press that button in, and you can see the pistons right here working as well. So straighten that back out. Alright, and taking a look at the ankles here, it actually, you can see, moving pivots and stuff like that, has a really good amount of ankle tilt, and his feet also move. They have some swing in there, they have some up-down movement and things like that. Overall, it's pretty good stuff. I dig it. And that comes off as well. So, completely forgot, but if you want naked feet, you got naked feet. I don't really care, but that's that. And again, just a general look at naked Magnus before we get them all armored up. Alright, and taking a look at the ankles here, it actually, you can see, moving pivots and stuff like that, has a really good amount of ankle tilt, and his feet also move. They have some swing in there, they have some up-down movement and things like that. Overall, it's pretty good stuff. I dig it. And that comes off as well. So, completely forgot, but if you want naked feet, you got naked feet. I don't really care, but that's that. And again, just a general look at naked Magnus before we get them all armored up. There he is. Alright, so now what we're doing, we're getting them all armored up. I guess we'll start with those leg pieces that you've already seen. These are just held in by magnets, so those. And just watch it. Sometimes the feet being tilted will hamper that. So we got here hips, and these are, you know, heavy die-cast pieces. They're not super heavy in terms of lifting and stuff like that, but in terms of the toy itself, by all means, just watch yourself. Be careful. All that, blah blah yada. Alright. Hard to kind of tell what's the front and what's the back when it comes to some of these pieces, so bear with me. These shoulders, they do extend in and out. And that's actually utilized on this one for the Magnus armor. So. Yeah, like the whole armor idea, even with Optimus. It's pretty cool. And this is a great, and I repeat, great white prime. Absolutely fantastic. So, where it really, I guess, lets me down is when it becomes Ultra Magnus. Like, if you're looking for a prime repaint, Ultimetal style, this thing is amazing. Of course, we'll get more into the letdown parts. Actually, get this guy transformed in. And it's hard to gauge because, like I said, I am standing and away from the camera, so zoom in a little bit here so I can actually take a seat and do this right. So, with the torso here, these pieces with the divots, you can see how it kind of flips in. Those are the back pieces. The divots are actually covered up by the that cover for the batteries. So let's actually get those back pieces on first. Obviously, this is the only part that really needs a specific order of doing things, and that actually is just because of that app cover there. All right, so there's that. Okay. Now let's get the front ones on. There. Right there. Okay. And get his grill. Alright, and the way to know, this part here, that angle, should be going upwards, so there's that. There's that. Get its digits straightened out here. And if the hands ever do pop out on you, they just go right back in. I believe they're hexagons. Alright, get this box of armor out of the way. Here he is, Magnus. Yeah, good roundabout view here. Same details as Prime, you know. Already went over a lot of the posability and stuff like that, but not a full 360, but you got good up and down movement and stuff like that. Joint elbows. Rotation and tilt in the wrists, which is cool. We went over the hip movement and stuff like that. The skirts actually get out of the way. To improvise for that, but that's about it in terms of his gimmicks and stuff. And the maxes are pretty strong. Let me see if I can actually... There you go. So, that works. And he also, of course, does have the extending elbows and stuff like that, or extended shoulders. So he can actually reach across. But again, a damn good white prime. Okay, and here's the stand. His stand actually lights up with this button here in the front. He's got a big matrix. It's just a display piece that lights up as well. By just extending those arms, put those back. Has a place for his remote. And again, remember to that on-off switch on his back. Keep that off. He has a Prime Blaster, as well as a blue Energon axe. So we'll go ahead and take those pieces out for right now. Okay. So this stand here, it's adjustable. Turn it around, and this tightens it. and this part screws in. So there's a part on the back side of Magnus, and we're not going to use this because you don't need it. Even when he's standing on the stand, it's perfectly balanced. It's heavy as all get out, so I mean, yeah, but it's there. This whole thing actually unscrews this pole here, and there is a smaller stand that you could screw this pole into in case you want that added stability while not using this big old honking, extravagant stand. But there's that. Okay, and here he is with his weapons. The gun can be held by either hand. There's a tab to go inside of the slots of the hands. The axe handle, however, it's like the one that came with MP10, or a lot of primes now, I guess, that come with axes, but it's just specifically molded for the close fist on the right hand, so unfortunately it can't be held by the left, so it's what it is. Magnus is officially a right-handed man. I'm not putting him in any cool poses or anything like that. I did review him on kumastyle.com, full pictorial review, cool poses on there, but this review is probably already going to be 20 minutes. Don't really need it to be 30, trying to make it do an Iron Man pose or something stupid. But there are the weapons. Alright, and here he is next to UM-01, Optimus Prime. And from this angle, it looks like Magnus is a bit taller than Prime. He's not. He's an exact repaint of Prime, so I think Prime's legs are more split and things like that, but exact same height. Again, when it comes to the gimmicks and stuff like that, quick comparison. Let's see if I can't switch in between them. I'm so surprised I did that without knocking it down. That's just my luck at times, but. Alright, so first button for Magnus here will. Okay, honk. Honk. What the fuck? Second button. Is that? You guys are. Oh, that's just lights on and lights off. Okay, I get it. Alright, and then Prime. In fact, let's. Let's get him lit up as well. Pretty freaking cool. That's what $2,500 looks like. Yay. Alright, so, okay. Turn the lights off. On one. Whoa! Did that just control Optimus Prime? Alright, well, I guess the remotes are interchangeable. Okay. I wish they would have done something with that. Maybe like some kind of different signal, or I don't know. You more techie guys can answer if that's doable or not. I really don't know, but that kind of sucks if you've got them both displayed by each other and only want to show off one. Then what do you do?
I am Optimus Prime.
Okay, so that was with one remote. You saw what happened right there, but
I am Optimus Prime.
that is wow. Okay, so we'll get Optimus out of the way. Kind of space this out. Alright, so basically, we'll do the. He's got honking sounds and just dumb shit. Where Optimus Prime obviously is.
I am Optimus Prime.
In fact, you know what? We're just gonna turn Ultra Magnus off. Sir, you're done.
I am Optimus Prime. Ironhide. Come in, Ironhide. Do you read me, old friend? We've intercepted a coded message from Soundwave. Use your comlink to decode the message.
But basically, you see there, I mean, Prime has a ton of quotes and things like that. Official voices where Magnus is kind of pew pew and just weird stuff going on. So Prime definitely wins in that aspect. But in terms of, who looks cooler, they're the exact same thing, exact same functionality, same amount of diecast and things like that. It's a good white Prime. It just sucks that things were forfeited or sacrificed on the gimmicks end electronically in order to fit around the Ultra Magnus gimmick and stuff like that. That really isn't that, I guess, impressive. But anyways, let's go ahead, get this guy armored up, go over disappointing Ultra Magnus in 2 seconds, and knock this review out.
was a little kid, I used to tell my uncle I wanna be in this music biz. I used to ditch my school for this. I told my uncle I'll make it and buy mama a newer crib. Have her drive the newest whips, looking fly as she cruises strips in Vegas. Let her bump my songs as loud as music gets. She can't even hear herself thinking, not even with new Q-tips, it's ludicrous. Sit in my grandma's house and I reminisce on how fun it was having dreams. Back when I was just a kid around. We used to battle at lunch in the park. Me and my niggas say flow, easily rip niggas apart. And now it's not a game, I've sacrificed a lot of things. Lost my girlfriend and my mama, but look, I will not complain. I keep my head above the clouds, sorta like when I ride a plane. And I maintain my focus, I'm looking out for a brighter day. Hopefully God will save me, guide me to a brighter path. Cause lately I've been in my room crying way more than I can laugh. If I can have anything I wanted, it'd be success. And a real relief from all the stress. And Grandma told me I've been blessed, and there's people that's out there federally pressed.
Okay, and here's Ultra Magnus. And to my approximation, antenna is about 17.5 inches. Alright, so not too far off of where it was in terms of height. I'm not going to do a lot of posing around with this one. The plastic pieces and stuff like that, they fall off pretty easy, particularly the feet here, which are supposed to go and clamp in, and you saw the other part I'm about to bemoan about. So these back pieces come off fairly simply, and for whatever reason, not so much the shin pieces, but the knee guards, they're held on by friction, and they just don't go on very tight. They just, when you're trying to pose them and stuff like that, so just be wary. You can't get them into some good poses and stuff like that. However, it's just one of those deals to where you're gonna have to do some reassembling when you do that. Now, here's his gun. It's the one accessory that it comes with. Like the regular Prime style gun that it comes with, it has the tab there. Now some pieces come apart, that comes off, big old bullet in there. Just put it back together, whatever. However it goes back together. But learning how to, take it apart and put it back together is pretty good, because it doesn't really go in his hand as is. So the way I do it, I take that back piece off, place that back piece in first, and from there, get this piece. It's kind of hard to do with stand-in and unangled and stuff like that, and all that jazz, but let a fingertip pop off, or a finger itself. And this is one of those things to where I just feel like, and see, the light popped off there, and I'm not manhandling this guy. I'm not really handling it at all. It just doesn't scream to me that over $1,000 worth of money, where Prime was like, hell yeah, you know. And it's not just the seen it before factor, but if you're like me, you bought it for this, you know. And the arm really doesn't hold the weight of the gun at the secondary elbow joint, so make sure that if you want to point the gun up and see what I mean, like right there, stuff is just falling, and this could have been a lot better engineered if, and I've said this, you know, quite publicly, that if it were up to me, I wish that they would have just done a straight up Magnus or Ultra Magnus instead of doing this white prime armor on armor stuff, to where you could have just really had a solid Ultra Magnus that's totally posable, blah blah blah. And yeah, I mean, even canonly in the IDW comics and stuff like that, Magnus has not been a white prime or mentioned as a white prime in years and years, so I don't know, but still pretty neat. I kept the switch to on just so that you guys could see him with the eyes lit up. Let's see if I did it. Oh, I just had to turn it on there. And again, Kumasao.com actually took the time to pose them and stuff like that, but I mean, this is kind of what you get. And there you go. Alright, and here he is next to, of course, Ultimetal Optimus Prime. Yeah, I mean, it's a decent looking Ultra Magnus. However, in terms of just the overall engineering and design and stuff like that, I would have loved to have just seen, even if it looked exactly like this, just plain Ultra Magnus with no armor on top of armor gimmicks, all of this being die cast and things like that, and then just take that off to show the skeleton underneath. I don't need a white prime and all of that stuff, and it's unfortunate because this is a great white prime. However, in the Ultra Magnus mode, it definitely falls flat, and it sucks because it's like Ultra Magnus mode is hella disappointing in my opinion. Decent display piece, but even standing there, shit just falls off and whatnot. And then in the white prime mode, you know, one, a lot of people aren't really buying it for that, and two, a lot of things were sacrificed in terms of the electronics and stuff like that that really gave, you know, Prime that wow factor on the white Prime for the sake of Ultra Magnus. So it really doesn't win and give that like awe that UM-01 Prime did in either mode. So would I recommend this? No. But at the same time, if you're like an Ultra Magnus guy or something like that, you're gonna get it. I mean, if you've got the funds for it and things like that, it's a really nice display-wise. It can be that definitive Ultra Magnus. However, as a product, and particularly, I'm more of a high-end robot collector. Look at all that stuff behind it. It's not Transformers, you know? I'm not a Transformer collector by trade or first, you know? I just like high-end robots, you know? I'll buy them all. But in that sense, this piece is a letdown. But anyway, this has been Kumasao Reviews. Again, ArtStorm, Ultimetal, UM-02, Ultra Magnus, full review, Pictorial gallery, pretty much repeating what I said here in written form, with nice pictures on Kumasao.com, link in the description. But let me know what you think of this. I mean, are you getting it? Are you impressed by this? You know, maybe something's off. Maybe I've got some kind of bias or something like that. Yeah, that's about it. See you guys next review. Thanks for watching.